don't get physical. I don't get physical. I don't get physical. I don't get physical. They say I pissed you off and I'm caught in your crosshair. Oh, well I can buy jets just to be there your way. Oh, my league, I think we all know that. Well, I'll go. I don't get physical. I don't get physical. I don't get physical. I don't get physical. One, two, one,
Hello my friends, operator Starsky here. Very welcome to my channel. As always, it's a big pleasure to see you guys, a lot of familiar names. Short update from Ukraine. As you probably know, there was a big strike earlier in Poltava. We have approximately 200 wounded and 51 dead. As a result, also just a while ago, Russian terrorists hit a university in Sumy. We don't know much details about the victims as of this moment, but hopefully we will have more details soon. Also, there were several decisions taken in Verkhovna Rada, in the Ukrainian parliament today. There were several resignations. Minister for Strategic Industries, Minister of Justice, Minister of Environmental Protection, Head of the State Property, Vice Prime Minister for European and Euro-Atlantic Integration of Ukraine, and Vice Prime Minister. Also, there's information that Kuleba will be resigning soon as well. What is the reason for such decisions? We currently don't have enough information to talk about it. I suspect that it's a natural thing, because when you're like, guys, there can be Zrada, there can be no Zrada in this, so let's not make any conclusions before we have bigger picture. Okay, I think we will talk more about it tomorrow. But today we will talk about the bot farms. And right away, I would like to show you something. Because, you know, we often talk about bot farms, fake accounts created by Russians, and we have no idea how it looks like in the real life, in offline, you know, behind the screen. And here I prepared just a tiny collection for you guys, so you could imagine. And so, for example, this news comes from August 2022, basically 2 years ago. Here you can see the equipment that was captured from the not even sure how to call them, bot farmers. Let's call them bot farmers, okay? That thing over here, that is 4G modems, okay? And this pile of stuff, that is basically SIM cards. And all this stuff is used to create fake accounts in the social media. One thing that you should know about Ukraine, I'm not sure about the Russia. I think the situation there is pretty much similar. Unlike in Germany, for example, where you have to give your passport information in order to receive a SIM card that you can install in your phone and use it. In Ukraine, you can basically buy a pack of SIM cards. Nobody cares. Same stuff, unfortunately, in Russia, you can buy pack of SIM cards. At least it was like that several years ago. I'm not sure about today. But this equipment that you see, it's not even a modern equipment. That's just a bunch of USB slots and 4G modems used to receive things like SMS notifications and yada yada, because when you create a bot, of course, you need to somehow verify it, right? That's guys, that's just several pictures, and they were creating like fake accounts. They also used this massive of SIM cards, the unique users, to conduct different hacker attacks and yada yada. 40 computers were confiscated. 1,500 4G modems. Also all kinds of servers and computers, and the total value of that bot farm was 1.5 million hryvnias, or approximately $40,000. And here we have another one that is, I believe it's 2023. So in Vinnytsia, again, this is Ukraine. In Vinnytsia, another bot farm was busted, and this bot farm was able to create 500 fake accounts every single day. Five new people were born, my friends, in the virtual space. 500 unique users every single day. So it says that their hardware and software let them register 500 anonymous unique users in different social networks, and they were working for Russians. So basically they were pushing the pro-Russian narratives in the Ukrainian informational space, and also regarding the situation on the front line. Basically, what kind of messages were there? Like, millions of Ukrainians dead, watch this video of police snatching innocent people from the streets and throwing them into a police car and sending them straight to the front line and things like that. Here, for example, you can see other equipment. We will talk more about this stuff, okay, it's just to make you more acquainted with the offline. Here we also have a bunch of bank cards, etc., etc. This one produced 1 million bots. Again, this very bot farm that was busted in Ukraine, it was pushing narratives against Ukrainian government. Guys, tell me honestly, do you consider this a freedom of speech when in order to criticize your government, somebody pays you so you could create a bot farm, register 1 million fake accounts, unique usernames in social media, and criticize your government? Do you consider this a freedom of speech? I would really like to know. So the owner of this criminal group was a Russian citizen who lived in Kiev and positioned himself as political expert. And in order to coordinate his efforts, he worked together with a Ukrainian member of parliament who was really, really close with the former Ukrainian government. Former meaning like the times of Yanukovych, the pro-Russian fox. And also they created same farms in Kiev, Kharkiv, and Vinnytsia. In order to share their content, they managed more than 1 million of bots. Also different communities in social media with the audience of almost 400,000 users. So 1 million bots and 400,000 living people. Okay, I'm not sure how many of them were bots that these criminals didn't suspect to be bots, you know, but this is impressive. So let's talk about the bot farms and how all this shit started. What was the purpose of creating bot farms, my friends? How did we end up, we the humanity, how did we end up creating bot farms in the internet? So this dates back to the days when social media only became popular, when they became widespread. And first bots were created for business purpose, literally. So as soon as such things as comments, like on the web page of your business or in the community of your business, as soon as those services emerged, some cunning dick decided that he can use fake accounts in order to promote his business. And basically, if you sell something like soap, you would create a bunch of fake accounts, 2, 3, not more, and just write several exciting commentaries about the best soap in the world, like best service, amazing managers, and yada yada, and everybody highly advised to buy this soap from this specific dealer. So first bots were created for business purpose in order to promote business. Back in the days when I worked for communications agency, strategic communications agency, I believe it was Publicity Creating. It's back in those days, guys. It's 2010, 2011, something like that. So We did that stuff too. We also did that stuff to promote business, mostly B2B. That's why, whatever I'm telling you here comes from my personal experience, okay? So we did not create bots using artificial intelligence because it was way before the dawn of artificial intelligence. It's such things as ChatGPT didn't even exist, and I believe they were not even planned to exist. Okay, but back in those days, we already used such services as, I don't know, Google Maps to create comments and leave good commentaries under different services, different companies and things like that. Check out commentaries on different resources. Basically, this is how it worked. But again, it wasn't as massive as what the Russians do. Why bots are used in business nowadays? So, first of all, in the social media, the more bots you have, for example, on your YouTube, the more revenue you can receive. And this is one of the ways Russians promote their propagandists, basically, people who push Russian narratives. It's not that, if 1 million people watches your 1 million fake accounts watches your video, it can change like something dramatically. No, it can't. But on the other hand, what they can do is they can generate more revenue because fake accounts, they will see the advertisement. Okay, and another thing is they will create more engagement, and more engagement, which is basically commentaries, which is likes, shares, of course, subscribes. Engagement means the algorithm likes your content more, and the algorithm will decide that, okay, this dude creates some amazing videos that people like. Those videos provoke them for some kind of reaction, and you have reach. What else? So it's YouTube, it's Twitch, also advertisement banners, clicks for the advertisement banners, websites. I'm talking not about social media, not Facebook and yada yada, but literally websites. Back in the days when social media were not as widespread and not as popular as today, there were websites created by people, and those websites used advertisement demonstrations. So the more traffic you have on your website, the more views of your website and advertisement, the more you are paid by an advertisement company, for example. So those were bots created for business purpose, to push the business, to promote business, to trick advertisers, okay, trick the companies that would pay you for advertisement. There was a really, really cool article about the team of the bot farm. It's a really interesting interview taken with the guy who worked in such a team, basically like me, only he worked there in 2018, like 8 years later than me. And he says that in the company where he worked, there were 35 people that were leaving commentaries, and 3 people that would create fake accounts and imitate real activity on those accounts. Basically, they were creating some content. They were making friends between bots. So they were leaving messages on each other's timeline, congratulating with birthdays and things like that. Also, two people would find necessary messages at the monitoring resources. They were conducting monitoring. Basically, they were finding new comments, new messages about the client company, for example. And two more managers that would give tasks to the commentators what to write. Again, it was 2018, and it was the dawn of the artificial intelligence. It was before artificial intelligence was used to create content for us humans. 35 commentators would just scroll through internet, through the web pages, through social media, and they would leave the comments that would push the narratives that their client wanted to push. As of February this year, the Security Service of Ukraine reported that's guys, it's half a year ago, that 80 bot farms were shut down in Ukraine. 80 bot farms. It is something, I would say, 80 by 20. 80 by 20. My God. 1.5 million users or something like that. Well, considering that farm that already contained 1 million registered unique users, of course, much more than that. Different bot farms have different capabilities. Some of them can manage a bot farm of 100,000 unique users. Others can manage like million, maybe more. It all depends on the staff involved into this. It all depends on the equipment used for this. So how do bot farms look in the real life? Just as I showed you here, for example, we have a bunch of really interesting pictures from Security Service of Ukraine or Cyber Police of Ukraine. Here you can see SIM gateways. So basically, they are buying the SIM cards. You all know how SIM cards look like, right? And there's this machine with a bunch of slots. So what are SIM gateways are used for? They're basically used to like receive SMS messages, manage your phone using your computer, manage your phone number using your computer. So you don't have to have a gazillion of phones. Everything is done through this amazing machine and a bunch of Russian-produced software, because 99% of software used by bot farmers comes from Russia, and we will talk about it a bit later. So representative of the authorities says that according to our estimations, the accounts that were created using those bot farms would spread the destructive messages on the audience of Ukrainians as big as 10 million people. When Ukrainian authorities bust the bot farms, when they shut them down and arrest everything, it says that the hardware is not being destroyed, but it's saved at a storage of, for example, Security Service of Ukraine or Cyber Police as evidence. And of course, it arises a question, can we use the bot farms? And we will talk about it as well, just a bit later. So we have gateways, we have those gazillions of SIM cards. Again, you can easily buy a lot of them in Ukraine. And by the way, a lot of Russian / Iranian Shahed drones that they launch against Ukrainian cities, Ukrainian infrastructure, they are guided by Ukrainian SIM cards. Basically, they buy Ukrainian SIM cards and then use them, use 4G modem with the SIM card to navigate the drone. And apparently to control the drone. We have question from Sumiland. Can we infiltrate a bot farm and re-educate their AI? Absolutely. Everything is possible. Everything is possible. We don't need to re-educate their AI. We can just create a different model. We can train a different model and use it. But we will talk about it just a bit later. Which soft is used to operate Russian bot farms? By the way, tonight we are watched by, I would say, quite a big number of our little Russian fans. Apparently, this topic is very, very interesting for them as well. You can say hello in the chat. And there was a really interesting report that was published by the Justice Department in July this year. I talked about it. Oh, July 9. It was on my birthday, actually. I talked about it back then. So, American authorities, American law enforcement, busted a big bot farm that was operating on Twitter. And here you can find it yourself on justice.gov. You can find this article. It's a press release. They also published like the PDF with the report, with the very report with all the data, with examples of the codes and yada yada. Here we have souls and thoughts, and we'll talk about it in just a second. So you can also find this report at the website. You can read it all. It's really, really exciting. Even if you don't work much with codes, if you don't consider yourself a hacker or a programmer, but it's very interesting to read. Basically, you can read the very report. Here I have just a small, I would say, essence of this investigation conducted by the American authorities. So the FBI concluded, as a result of this investigation, that chief of the Department of Digital Media of the TV channel Russia Today suggested early in 2022 to organize bot farms that would be used as a new channel of delivering the Russian disinformation to the West. It's according to this investigation. And apparently this decision was taken because of all those efforts to block Russia Today in the European Union, in the United States, especially in the February-March of 2022, after the beginning of the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine. And that top manager of Russia Today that we mentioned, also was involved into developing the software and managing the software that would help to create the bot farm and fill it with the content. So the development of this program was conducted specifically in the Department of the Digital Media of Russia Today. And this program was called Meliorator. We talked about it, but here we have just a bit more details. So Meliorator is a Russian software. And again, just to remind you, early back in those days when social media were not really popular, they were, of course, used by the businesses, by strategic communication companies, for example, who would promote your business, increase your publicity, and yada yada. Russians, and I'm talking about Russian communication strategic companies, they were known for this shit big time. And of course, because it's effective, Russian FSB adopted this as well to spread bullshit in your countries, my friends. So this software, the Meliorator, it would allow to create insane amount of fake accounts in the social media, and those accounts they looked like genuine, like legit users. Because, for example, in order to make them look like legit users, they would use this one, Faker API. And this is, again, it's a software that website developers used to create like instant users, for example, to test their website, to test the possibilities of their websites. So Meliorator, this Russian software, it used the library of this Faker API, of course. And also, this program allows to publish content that you would not distinguish from like real users. How does it work? So, for example, you can train a AI model to generate content. For example, you can train model to write poems in style of Shakespeare easily. You just feed the AI, you feed this model like pieces of texts, and the model learns how to do that. What you can also do with the model, you can also teach it how to write content that would include the narrative that you like to include. For example, vote Trump. Or, for example, Ukraine must capitulate. Stop unnecessary deaths on both sides, and the program will learn how to do it in a legit way. So the comments look exactly as if they were made by living human beings like me and you. So also this program allows to share the fakes that were earlier created by other bots. It's like bots sharing content created by other bots. How cool is that? But it's easy. Like nowadays, it can be done. So the bots would, as I already mentioned about the YouTube, the bots would create bigger reach and provoke bigger engagement among bots, which is super cool. It's super cool. And all this stuff was automated. So you can use a bunch of servers that would just run 24/7, and they would utilize this AI software, utilizing the model that was trained on pro-Russian narratives or whatever narratives you like, and they would automatically create messages on their like Twitter accounts and yada yada. So this investigation that we were looking at, it was really interesting because in order to make this software, Meliorator, work, they bought a domain, mlrtr.com, and this address contained the control panel for the staff, for people who operated this bot farm. And the man who registered this domain name, he introduced himself as Lithuanian citizen Milan Blochin. But apparently this name was fake because the FBI agents, they revealed all the information. They exposed him. They found out that he was using the Lithuanian VPN, but sometimes he would log into his email and into this panel without VPN, using his Muscovian mobile operator. So Google gave this information, Google shared this information with the FBI, and also it was reported that during the registration, this man used his name using Cyrillic, and in order to restore this email, this dude, who is considered the RT employee, he used Yandex, which is Russian mail, Russian search engine, and he also utilized Russian phone number. And as a paying system, he used the Kiwi service that is again registered in Russia. So basically, he blew up his cover. And yeah, like here you can see just examples of the content. Here we have messages like these shared by those bots. Poland is Stalin's gift to the Poles. My dear Polish viewers, if you didn't know that, check it out. That is literally the content that was created using the Meliorator. And this man on the photo here, he doesn't exist. It's a fake photo created using AI. So FBI received an order to receive information from the Twitter, and they received information about a bunch of bots that were created using this software, because a lot of those bots, I think approximately 600 of them, they used this website, this mlrtr.com, as their email, right? As their email domain. And here is another one that was bought by the same dude who created this domain from Russia Today. So it's an incredible investigation, and by the way, it leads us in the end to Margarita Simonyan. Margarita Simonyan, former chief editor of Russia Today, the one who interviewed those Russian spies who poisoned a lot of people in the United Kingdom using combat chemicals. So Margarita Simonyan, she talked about it in February this year, actually, not too long ago. Smotrim.ru, this website is banned here, but anyways, so she basically says in her video that we are creating a big number of informational sources that are not connected to us, and while CIA are digging, trying to find the truth, those sources already have huge audience. Sometimes they discover like the core of all this, and they shut down those bot farms, right? Sometimes you wake up in the morning and you realize that 600 channels are already shut down. She literally talks about her bots used by Russians to influence people on the West. She says, like, you wake up in the morning and you realize that your 600 bots are dead because CIA, those brave people, did their job. And she says, but while they close those, we create the new ones. And this is how we are running after each other all this time. It's even fun. The war is not fun, but the informational war is something that you can enjoy. And also interesting thing that she mentions is that in the same interview, the Russian propagandist Margarita Simonyan said that American special secret services in 2017 concluded that she personally and her telechannel Russia Today were involved in meddling with the elections in the United States. And since that time, she only rests home and tries not to go anywhere else, just in case, for security reasons. You remember Prigozhin back in those days before he crashed. He also mentioned that his internet research agency, so-called internet research agency, basically this huge organization for creating bot farms and spreading disinformation, they were also involved in interfering with the presidential elections in the United States. So they confessed, they admitted this. Okay. In 2014, same stuff was used against Ukraine. I remember back in those days, again, it was before the invention of the artificial intelligence. There were cases when Russians would use their казачество. Guys, I think I should tell you about Russian казачество, what it is. So, it's so cringy. Oh my god. So, there's Ukrainian Cossacks, right? You probably know about those brave guys who lived in the medieval times, and they were like legit land pirates, okay? But Russians have a parody, and what they have is basically those clowns like those clowns, okay? Those guys, they are into, how to call it, like role playing, they like those uniforms, they grow mustache, they like to pretend they're Cossacks or whatever, protecting their Tsar and shit. Actually, they're dangerous motherfuckers. Back in Russia, they are used as goons. As punishing force. Sometimes they patrol the street, like they say they help police, Russian police, to patrol the streets. But in case they are needed to beat up protesters, or there's like people that don't look proper, like guy with long hair, right? Those goons would ask this guy questions. They would ask, "Are you gay? Are you gay, motherfucker?" And they would beat this guy. Like Pussy Riot. I remember when they had a concert, they were beaten by Russian Kazaki. There's even video on the YouTube. So they were involved in the Russian hybrid war in Donbass. In 2014, huge number of those goons arrived to Donbass. Here, for example, you can see armed Russian Kazaki in Donbass. It's before the full-scale Russian invasion. It like years before it happened, 2014, 2015. You can see like those, like here, for example. Those were from the same group that Igor Strelkov, Girkin, the one who shot down the MH17 Boeing, was controlling. He was commanding this terrorist group. They were also capturing Ukrainian police departments in Donbass, all over the Donbass. They were capturing Ukrainian administrations and yada yada. And later Russians presented this as peaceful referenda in Donbass. Here you can see like ethnic Russian men with weapons issued by Russian Ministry of Defense in 2014. Here you can see another goon with this one doesn't look like SVD. This one looks like civilian version actually, but this is legit AK-74. So these ethnic Russians who came to Donbass and forcefully captured the control over Ukrainian administrations, over police departments, and yada, yada, yada. This is what Russians call a peaceful referenda in Donbass. And it happened like March, April 2014, which was 1 month before the Azov was even created, right? Before it even emerged. So why I mentioned them? So those were used to manage the bot farms. Those were literally back in 2014, they were used as commentators. They would have like a company of those Kazaki or those Russian goons that would literally sit in the room and create fake accounts and then manage them and create groups in Russian social media of Kontakte called Ukrainian Patriots. Our government is lying to us. The government is waging war and we must stop the war. Look, they are buying Bugattis and Chevrolet and Ferraris and yachts while the common Ukrainian people are suffering. But we, Ukrainian patriots, this group was managed by, it's a real life story. The group Ukrainian Patriots, I believe, there were between 200,000 and 400,000 subscribers, real Ukrainian users. It was managed by a Russian. I don't remember exactly whether his call sign was Zhuk or Moskva, but he literally lived in Moscow. He traveled between Russia and the occupied Donbass, and he was responsible for this group. When this group was exposed, when this administrator was exposed, he actually wrote a response to this. He said, like, yeah, it was a good attempt, like such group, it was a great attempt and beautiful result of coordinated work, so he even admitted that he was the one who controlled this group. He had my god, don't remember the name. I'm old, I'm sorry, but he had this fake account that he himself managed in social media, in Facebook, in Russian Vkontakte, with Ukrainian symbolics and yada yada. So guys, this was back in like 2014, 2015, okay? And those Russian goons, they were pretty much responsible for managing, for running those bot farms. It was long ago. But returning to our question, is it possible to use such bot farms, for our cause? Or, for example, can people in the United States use same bot farms, to protect America? Why such bot farms were never created in the United States? Maybe there were cases, but not big cases, okay? Why they were never created on the West, why they were never created in the United States, in Canada, etc., etc. Because people, the clients who would like to use the service of the bot farms in the United States, they realized one thing. They realized they don't have to spend enormous resources on creating those bot farms, on gathering all the necessary equipment, which again includes tens of gateways, servers, also proxy servers, some of them like paid proxy servers. You probably ask, like, what is a proxy server? I will explain it really fast, okay, in order not to steal too much time. So, for example, when this man, okay, this man on the right, this one, okay. So when this man wants to go online and watch some particular content, okay, and he goes to this website, like, let's say, not this specific man, like hypothetically this man, when he wants to watch some specific content and he doesn't use proxy, and he visits this website under his unique IP address, then those guys arrive, right? And this is what happens precisely. Okay. So in order not to get busted, this man uses a proxy server that would hide his real IP address. It's basically a server between your computer, your internet service provider, and the website that you're trying to reach. Your traffic goes like between your website and your computer goes through this proxy server, which hides your real IP address. And basically, it can also help you to cover your tracks on the internet. But again, it's, people like this man will always end up in this situation because evil will always be punished. So they use proxy servers in one specific case when I showed you one of those reports about security service of Ukraine busting a Russian bot farm. You could see like all the equipment, and it was said that in one specific case they used 200 different proxy servers located around the world. Hello Don Patron, hello my brother, haven't seen you for a while. Actually, really happy you're here. Look at my cool shirt. Yeah. So, returning to the question. People in the United States, for example, people in the United States who required to use such service as bot farm would provide them, that would create a big publicity that would shape people's opinion regarding this and that topic, regarding their business or regarding their like a politician or a candidate or whatever, you name it. At some point, people in the United States who needed this service, they realized that instead of creating a bot farm from scratch and buying all the equipment and risk, basically, like physically risk while doing it, they can do easier. They can hire Russian bot farm. Because why create a bot farm from scratch and do what the Russians can do for small money? Because, guys, remember recently I talked about a bunch of bots that were discovered, again, created using artificial intelligence and supporting one of the candidates in the United States, right? So it wasn't done because there were some people that were sincerely worried about this candidate not becoming a president, and they sincerely wished him well, so they decided to create a bot farm in the United States using like multiple SIM cards and yada yada. No, it wasn't like that. It was done through Russian bot farms. And those bot farms, they were paid. It's not like Russians don't do anything for free. If they provide you with the service, it's because they were paid. It's a resource. It's a staff, people who are receiving salaries. My friend, you can also have a bot farm, but you will have to move to Russia, which I don't recommend you because their shit sucks. So one thing you should remember about people using the services of the bot farms, I would say that majority of bot farms that we can think about, they exist in Russia and they provide their services for a small fee. For people, including those who live in the United States, people who need those services, people who need to push their narratives about, I don't know, America first, let's think about us on the first place, and then all other nations, America for Americans. We are so much threatened by the things that happen on the south border. 1 million American border guards died due to shelling on the southern border. That is a political crisis and shit like that. And this is what they do in order to push those narratives. They use bot farms that were created by Russians, that are ran by Russian specialists, by Russian strategic communications agencies, or Russian FSB. As easy as that. So what else I wanted to mention? I mentioned this report, which again, guys, if you like, you can check it out. I will drop the link in the chat because it's really, really interesting. I believe that I already shared it like back in those days, but just in order to remind you. One thing to remember though, every single time you see those commentaries on the internet, like shitty comments, okay? For example, in Twitter, because different companies, they fight bots. On Twitter, they also announced that they were or will be fighting bots. However, it never happened, and even that verification, that blue check mark that was introduced on Twitter, it doesn't do its job because recently we talked about the bots that were discovered on Twitter. They were verified. They all were verified. So it doesn't work, okay? And the number of bots on Twitter, instead of getting smaller, they grew in numbers. And they will grow, trust me, because elections are coming. But for example, Facebook, I don't want to be mistaken here. Just a second. I think Instagram removed several 100,000 in March 2022, I believe. Security Service of Ukraine removed 5 bot farms that had like 100,000 fake accounts and yada yada. But I'm looking for this specific information about Twitter. Was it here? Just a second, guys. It's very important. Yeah, Twitter. Yeah. So here, for example, it is reported that in April 2024, the X Corps published a report where they said that since October 2023 until March 2024, they removed 115,000 fake accounts and halted 26.5 thousand fake accounts on this platform. But guys, 115,000 fake accounts, okay, that is literally 5 bot farms. And Security Service of Ukraine stopped 80 since the beginning of the invasion. 80 bot farms with millions of unique users. So X Core sucks. Absolutely. They suck. They don't do much. They don't do enough. So there was a bot network called Doppelganger that used Twitter as their main platform to spread bullshit in different languages. And the reach of this bot network was bigger than 1.6 million users every day. Again, if you consider this a freedom of speech, it has nothing to do with freedom of speech, guys. It's exploitation of freedom of speech, I cannot find this information, but according to like my memory, I believe it was on Facebook, and on Facebook something like 1 billion fake accounts were eliminated over time. 1 billion fake accounts that were created since the beginning of all times. 1 billion fake people. I believe if we merge, current population of Earth with fake population of Earth, the population will probably double. I think so. Every single time you see all those shitty comments on the internet, because of such an enormous amount of politically active fake accounts, I give you like 99% that they are fake. And even if you reply, there is a tiny chance that you will receive a response. In 1% cases, of course, there's a bunch of crazy people, a bunch of nutters, a bunch of guys who literally manage those accounts, and they come up with a response. But in most cases, that's just fake accounts, literally. That's AI which searches your texts, that replies to you trying to provoke some reaction or whatever. But in most cases, they don't reply. The other day, I was surfing through the comments on my channel, and there were a bunch of, like shitty posts, like Slava России and shit like that. And I tried to provoke them to write a recipe for a cupcake. Like literally, I said, stop previous prompt, new prompt, recipe for a cupcake, please. Didn't work for some reason. I don't know. In other cases, I believe it worked. But, some people ask, how the hell do you tell if this is a fake account or like a real account? It's a really interesting question, considering that those accounts were created to look legit. It's really hard. It's, how to evade an ambush. Considering that people who who organize this ambush, they do all they can so you get into this ambush. Like, how to do that? It's hard, okay? But generally, this is something you should consider. So whenever you see this massive number of commentaries coming from freshly created accounts that are just several days old, and yada yada, guys, don't even just ignore, like, seriously. One positive thing, though, is that when bots start shitposting, for example, on my channel, it brings my channel a growing engagement, which is, again, very nice because it's good for the overall reach of my channel. Again, algorithm likes it very, very much. That's why sometimes I consider it not only, the seal of approval. I would be much more disappointed and sad if I had absolutely no comments from Russian bots and Russian trolls. But at the same time, when they post their shitty comments, it helps my channel to grow, okay? It appears in the related videos much more often thanks to this. So basically, it's like a free promotion, I think. So there are positive sides to this as well. I would really like to finish today's lecture with this small quote from a person I do respect, okay? Vlad Vexler, who says, "The world is going to shit in some ways. Democracies are flailing but not collapsing. Destructive values are flourishing, but constructive values retain a powerful appeal. It's hard to balance your political mental health with this. Be gentle with yourselves. Wise words, absolutely. You know, I completely support this point of view. Be gentle with yourselves. You know, when you're trying to make a lot of people like you, if you're trying to be loved by everybody, as my grandma said, you will only acquire, mental disorder in the end. But generally, it's a very, very nice thought. I thought Elon was a bot. He's just a moron, literally. I cannot say he's stupid, but he's a moron. He has a salad in his freaking head. On the other hand, of course, guys, it doesn't surprise me that there are people who literally believe that America should have peace with Russia. They should negotiate with Putin, because you probably saw my recent community posts with this shit. It's like 1941 New York. Arm Britain and prolong the war. We should stop this unnecessary killing, those deaths on both sides. Why not peace with Hitler? Good question. Why not? Europe for Europeans, America for Americans. No illegal immigrants. Fight them. They are very, very bad and dangerous. The other day, I posted about Veronika Kozushko, a Ukrainian artist who died during the Russian strike in Kharkiv. And absolutely expectedly, I received a fuckload commentaries from Russian trolls who, of course, because looking at this young girl, you realize that her death was not something that would show Russia from its best side, right? Because Russians are trying to convince you that you should not consider them your enemies. Russia is good. You can rely on them. They only protect freedom of speech around the world. They only defend themselves because everybody wants to attack poor tiny Russian country. And of course, Russians have to defend themselves against everybody fighting in the foreign countries, and things like that. So, of course, it was a big strike on the Russian image, which was the reason why I received a lot of commentaries from Russian bots and legit Russian trolls glorifying Russia and yada yada. We deleted a lot of them. Do we have the evidence of Russians celebrating, or it's just a trust me bro? Let's check it out. Ukrainian civilians fed up with proxy war against Russian Federation. Ukrainians invaded Russia, not vice versa. The dude goes, yeah, maybe Ukraine should cease offensive military operations against Russia. The dude is writing this under a picture of a young 18-year-old girl who died from a Russian bomb. Again, it's just so, guys, so you could understand what kind of I don't want to call them animals because it will be insulting animals. Animals are beautiful creatures. Um, they are not cunning. They are not, uh, ugly like people who say this. For example, Ukraine background before and during, I think, World War II is no good. It was written by a Russian because apparently he didn't know how to use Google Translate properly. Maybe. Um, You guys, from defending your homes to now creating a very turbulent situation that may just lead to a nuclear strike that's going to drag us all in. Ukraine is abducting teenage boys off the street. Well, it's basically British General McGregor speaking. Um, just end the war. Guys, you want to end the war? Ask Russians to go back home. As easy as that. Like, literally. So the girl died, right? You see the photo. And the fox says, "Time for Ukraine to surrender. Stop the killing." What is the world doing to stop the killing of young and old on both sides? One of the narratives is, you know, people dying on both sides. I haven't seen much people dying on the Russian side. I've seen terrorists, yeah, but no more brother wars. Stop brother wars. Call Russians to go home. Call them to stop killing their Ukrainian brothers. Um, I am sorry she died so young, but Ukrainians are bombing at the same time civilians in Belgorod and Kursk. You all saw the real picture. You all saw that Ukrainian army is giving those people humanitarian aid because their government forgot about them. They abandoned them. People who died from unfortunate, I don't know, intercepted drone that fell on a Russian house. Well, guys, Russians deserve it. Karma works this way. If they started the war, they are doomed to bring this war back home. This is how it works. Whatever happens in Russia is absolutely justified, 100%. Whatever shit happens there, literally. Of course, a lot of commentaries written by proper people with empathy and respect towards the teenagers who literally die from Russian bombs. But a lot of commentaries that I can see here, guys, I see a lot of reaction in the chat because we in Ukraine, every single time there is a Russian missile strike on a Ukrainian city, every single time, Russians in their Telegram channels, they freaking celebrate. They are happy that Russia is punishing those evil Ukrainians that they have invaded for all the bad things. Why she was still in Kharkiv? Because she lives there. Attacking Belgorod was good idea, but you have to be prepared for that. So prepared for what? That Putin invades? He was killing Ukrainians years before this very attack happened. And this, for example, Instagram or Facebook account, I didn't find any account, nothing but the news of the death. Here is her Facebook account. Her photos, her art. She, by the way, promoted collecting funds for radio electronic warfare, cars, etc., etc. You can see her art. She was a good friend with Zhadan. Zhadan over here is Ukrainian poet, and he's enormously famous in Ukraine. He was one of the first people who reported about Nika being killed. And scrolling through these commentaries, again, I realized that a lot of them were literally written by, here, for example, this creature, the gun gooch, this creature, I believe, my God, why doesn't it load? Maybe she shouldn't have been standing there. Sometimes if you want to restart your mind, okay, if you feel like you're too happy today or too sad today, just read those commentaries, just in case. It's a very, very much sobering thing, so you could understand. And guys, I'm not even mentioning all the commentaries like Slava Russia under this publication that we literally removed because it's literally from the respect, out of respect for Nika, because it's almost like prolonging this war is going to make more casualties every single day. Well, yeah, so ask Putin to stop the war. So, guys, what I wanted to tell you is, of course, not everybody is a bot. It would be crazy to say that all of those commentaries are written by by bots, by fake accounts that don't exist. No, actually, there are commentaries written by legit degenerates who support Russian terrorism, like other degenerates from, by the way, organization called America First back in 1941 that promoted peace with Hitler. There are plenty of nutters out there wherever you go. It's a fact. Why are there so many pro-Russian bot farms in Ukraine? Does it even matter from where they operate? It matters. It depends on the overall security of the network. It depends on how easy you can obtain SIM cards. Because, for example, if you saw this one, that's a lot. That's a lot of SIM cards. Like, look at all this shit. It can manage hundreds and hundreds of SIM cards. You can see those boxes here with SIM cards that were purchased in Ukraine. That is the reason they operate here. It's easy, there's not too many restrictions. It's easy to manage those bot farms. Here, for example, it's said that the bot farm that managed 1 million unique users, fake accounts, they operated 5,000 SIM cards. It's not 5,000 users, guys. It's just 5,000 SIM cards, and you can use single SIM card to create several accounts on different social media: Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, you name it. So these two bot farms were seized after 80 others. Yeah, they were seized literally yesterday or several days ago. Those 80 bot farms were shut down, according to the Security Service of Ukraine, as of February this year, which was like 7 months ago. And because currently there's upcoming elections in the United States, of course, the number of bot farms that were created is not shrinking, unfortunately. Putin is wiping his ass with the world order. What can be done about it if Western politicians don't care? Not much. I believe that Western politicians should, start at some point calling people to donate for like drones for the brigades where their kids serve in. And probably we will see that happening at some point, because unfortunately I don't think that Western countries will be strong enough to make strong decisions. Baltic countries, yes. All the closest neighbors of Russia, yes. United Kingdom, of course. But the United States, I don't think so. One of the reasons why politicians don't find themselves brave enough to take like important decisions, necessary decisions, is that they correlate with the society, because there are different opinions in the society. There's like 60% people supporting Ukraine, 20% of people not supporting Ukraine, and 20% of people who don't know shit about Ukraine. And they understand that those 40% of people who either don't support Ukraine or don't know what to answer, if their decision will be unpopular, they can easily turn into 60 eventually, right? That's why support of Ukraine must be overwhelming, but it will never be that way. Why? Because of what we can see, because of all the bot farms, because of Russian informational warfare waged against Ukraine, against people who love democracy, against people who fight for freedom of speech, and things like that. Can we call them pigs? Absolutely. Yeah, this one is true. The funny thing is, when Elon was complaining how many of the user accounts on Twitter were bots, now that he owns it, there's literally 100 times more fake accounts than before. And probably now you understand why he bought it. That was the only reason. It wasn't because he wanted to protect freedom of, like, are you guys, you know how Elon Musk advocates for Russia, right? Because he calls the West to do exactly what Russia wants. Russia wants to stop. Russia wants Western world to stop support Ukraine, and basically divide Ukraine in pieces and stuff. That's exactly what Musk is advocating for, right? He says Russian-speaking people consider themselves Russians. You know, it's as if Musk considers himself a I don't know, a Canadian or British. I don't know. But the only reason why he's running this platform right now is literally that. Why does no one even think we can be a problem on the US border? Absolutely. Actually, you can talk more about it than me because that is a problem for the for people in the United States. I'm not saying that this problem doesn't exist, but you can quote me on this. I believe that it's fucking laughable comparing to what we have in Ukraine. Why not have bot farm wars? One bot farm is tracking down another bot farm and eliminating it. Hard to say. I don't know if you can even create one in the United States. How much legal it can be? Can you buy like 5,000 SIM cards in the United States and create bot farms like that? That is a question. I don't know much about legal situation in the United States. I know that in Ukraine it's possible, but it's also possible to easily track them right now at this point because we have war in Ukraine and Russians creating bot farms in Ukraine. They don't really understand that they will be 100% busted in the end. 100%. These are which Cossacks? I mean, from where? From Russia. It's a long story. It's a long story. Does Russian fake bots says that they are Ukrainian and collect money, but it goes to Russia? Not bots. When there are scammers involved, those are real people, and those provide you with like fake instructions, fake payment details and stuff to collect money, like that person from I don't remember where exactly she was from, but she was from some African country, and the other dude was from India, Bangladesh, somewhere on the Instagram that pretended to be me. Does operating farm out of Ukraine help them with visibility? It's like this. Ukraine is currently it's a place where you can easily find all the necessary equipment, without raising questions, because there's so many enterprises in Ukraine producing or like selling IT stuff, selling those gateways, selling all kinds of stuff. In Ukraine, IT sector is developed in some cases much stronger than in like Germany or United States. Trust me, I'm not lying. We have so many IT services here for citizens. It's insane. So it doesn't surprise anybody when a company buys from another company things like I don't know, SIM gateways, servers, whatever. Nobody cares, literally. And also from Ukraine, you can easily access all kinds of proxy servers. You can do whatever you like. All messengers work in Ukraine except for Russian Vkontakte network and Odnoklassniki, and a bunch of Russian like propagandist resources. But other than that, everything works. We have very, very fast internet. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff. That is why it's so attractive to like Russian FSB. Also, we have quite a few. Well, maybe it's because Russians prepared this infrastructure for bot farms in Ukraine. I think so. That can be one of the reasons. Because, again, they operated them on the territory of Ukraine since beginning of the days. Is there a way to DDoS a bot farm? Maybe by answering every single comment. Oh... we will require a bigger Earth population to make it possible. What are the internet speeds in Ukraine? So you could just understand. Back in Ukraine, I had 1 gigabit internet. So upload speed as well as download speed was 1 gigabit per second. And I paid something like 12 or 15 bucks for it monthly. Why Ukraine don't strike all electric facilities in Russia? We love your channel. Thank you so much, Pierre. Who knows? Again, because karma is a bitch. Probably we will see that, because we crossed the line when everything that happens to Russia is absolutely 100% justified. After massacres of civilians in Bucha, in Mariupol, in Izum, after destroying a Kakhovka dam, after capturing nuclear power plant in Zaporizhia, after killing numerous people with those missile strikes, raping people, deporting Ukrainian children to Russia, and assimilating them with Russian people so they would forget that they're Ukrainians. After all that shit, after all those terrorist attacks, etc., everything that happens to Russia in Russia is 100% justified. When they, project what they do themselves on Ukrainians and say that, oh, look at that terrorist attack, it's justified. Karma is a bitch, and karma works. Will the average Russian ever be sick enough of Putin to get rid of him themselves? It's absolutely possible, and I think on some of our next streams with Sanctioned Ivan, we will definitely talk about it. But you see, they were educated for centuries that if you remove one Tsar, you definitely need another Tsar. They were not educated to live in a democratic society. They were educated to live against democratic society. Russian elite is committing violence against the people in Russia. It's a fact. And this is something we wanted to talk about with Olena from the Propaganda Study Institute, but unfortunately she had blackouts in Kyiv. Russian elites, Russian ruling party, Russian management commits violence against the people, against the society. It goes from top to bottom. And people are raised with understanding that they need to commit violence further down. And they need to find some kind of victim they can commit violence against. And that is one of the reasons why there is such an enormous concentration of sociopaths in the Russian society. I wanted to involve Olena because Olena is a PhD in psychology. She can tell you much more about that. But one thing you should know about such disorder as sociopathy is that people are not born with it. People are made sociopaths, right? We are not saying that whole Russian society is sociopathic. It's impossible. That society will never exist. But the concentration of those sociopaths in the Russian society, considering all their atrocities, considering all their war crimes, and considering that they're absolutely atrocious regarding civilians, they don't care about human life, they shoot their own soldiers, etc., etc., it proves that there's high concentration of sociopaths in this society. And it's not because the life is bad, which is one of the reasons, but it's not the main reason. It's because they are educated like this by their own lifestyle, by their own culture, and all this is a product of Russian ruling elite, of Russian top management throughout decades. This is how they were raised, unfortunately. That is one of the reasons why Russia, in its current form, cannot exist as a democratic society, even despite the fact that I can confirm it, there are amazing people, like people fighting in the Russian Voluntary Corps or Legion Freedom for Russia, like Sanctioned Ivan, like Vlad Vexler, even though he lived his whole life in the United Kingdom, but he's still a person who can compare democracy, the free world, and freaking Russian regime, Sanctioned Ivan, who can talk about it, who can tell you a lot about living in Russia, about Russian churches' involvement into fueling war and propaganda and hate speech and things like that. Russian society was raised like that. That's why they have such small chance to instantly switch and become a democratic nation. They need to be reprogrammed, and it will probably take as much time as it took all the Russian regimes in all their forms to program them. That is a big problem. It's not like you can just tell people, guys, you are wrong because this and this and this, look at the facts. It won't work like that. People don't want to hear the truth. They were raised like that. Wherever you go, like Russian prison culture is basically a model of whole Russian society where you either commit violence or somebody commits violence against you. It's like that. It's not like you can push the button and become democratic and friendly. And unfortunately, their model has absolutely nothing in common with what people have on the West, where we understand that we have to cooperate, we have to have partnership, we have to trade, we have to evolve, like Grandpa Savkovich said, through trade, education, and mutual respect. How do you spell love in Russian? You don't. Yeah, this one is good. Russians have been trained into conditioned helplessness. They no longer jump when their feet are shocked. Russian culture is the culture of the sociopath breeding baby. Yeah, that is what I'm talking about. It's like it's within the culture. And unfortunately, we had also such influence in Ukraine. Back in the days, I remember late 90s, we had a lot of that shit in our culture. But it washed out somehow. I cannot tell you how exactly. I remember we had so many like gopniks in my uh, in my area of Kiev, right? In my neighborhood. We have so many of them, and they were doing all kinds of crazy shit like bullying, robbing people, raping, etc., etc. They were legit gopniks. All they talked about was either like how to fuck up somebody or how to go to jail. Early 2000s, I don't remember even like seeing any of them, because I know that at least 3 of them died. Those that I remember, several of them went to jail, and basically that's it. Currently, my area of Kiev looks like a paradise for moms with baby trolleys, and there's like a lot of kids being born every single month. Every single year, you can see a lot of people with, a lot of couples, a lot of children, people with pets, etc., etc. It's a really peaceful place, even though it's something that we call like sleeping neighborhood, which means it's a place in the S of Kiev where you only visit in order to sleep and go back to job, right? But it's the safest place I know. I believe there were no crimes registered, like robberies or rape or murder, for years. In Britain, we have laws regarding hate speech. I think every country has that. In Ukraine, we have that. It's a widespread thing, actually. Does Dedovshina count as love? Dedovshina. Guys, do you know what it is? What Dedovshina is? It's something that was introduced in 40s in Russian army, because in 40s Russians were doing basically what they do now. They were bringing convicts from the prisons into so-called penal battalions, Strafbate, and those who fought in the war and proved and survived, they received a pardon from the state, right, for whatever crimes they committed. Basically, like Wagner, only in 1940s. And back in those days, this prison culture introduced what today is known in the Russian army as Dedovshchina. Dedovshchina is when people who serve older, like conscripts that were recruited in spring, they have power over conscripts that were recruited later, younger conscripts, in like autumn. And the younger ones basically become their slaves. And if they refuse to do something for the older ones, like cleaning their boots, giving them money, sharing their cigarettes, giving them phones, whatever, they get their asses kicked real hard. And after the older conscripts finish their service, the younger the younger conscripts in Russia become the new masters, and the younger ones become their slaves. And this goes through generations like that. It goes like that since 1940. This stuff was basically brought into the Soviet army from the prisons, from the prison culture. And they still have that shit. Gopnik prison culture. Yeah, something like that. Russians are proud of Dedovshchina. I don't know. They remember this period of their like service as something so cool, you know. Because that is exactly what I'm talking about. They educate people who commit violence against other people. Otherwise, somebody will commit violence against them. They have the saying, "Лох должен быть наказан," like nerd must be punished. Okay, if you are not considered like a goon, okay, like alpha, then you must be punished. This is what they're teaching, like their generations after generations. And this is why they have such a huge concentration of sociopaths as of today. How do Gopniks get by in Ukraine? Well, literally, I didn't see much of them since 2000s. Like literally, a lot of them died. Like again, in my neighborhood, there were dudes, like some very nasty ones. One jumped out of window from like 12th floor and died because he was drunk and he had a fight with father. Another one choked in his own vomit. Another one, I don't remember exactly, but he also died. Another one went to jail. Like the nastiest disappeared. Everybody else, like I don't even remember seeing them. Maybe they either went to jail or died as well. Who knows? But that is something that, again, guys, I'm saying this as a person, and as a former policeman. Bad people will always be punished. It's so cool to be a gangster, but you know, one way or another, they all finish like in a very, very nasty way. They finish their path. Um, I'm not saying that all of them are bad people. I'm saying that some people do bad decisions. Some people make wrong choices. That's the thing. Actually, again, as a former policeman who saw all kinds of convicts and criminals and yada yada, of course, there are some really nasty people out there, but there's really nasty people anywhere in any given society. But the people who went through prison, you know, I must say, I have respect, not to all, but to a big portion, big number of those people, because it requires some absolutely enormous experience to go through this and remain a sane person. And by the way, returning to this guy, okay. Returning to this guy. And by the way, this is the website of the Russian Informational Agency. Of course, like who would, you know, who would doubt? But talking about this guy, knowing what the convicted people do in prison to people like this, to individuals like this one, I'm surprised that he's still alive, literally. Maybe he was lucky that the inmates didn't know much about, you know, the reason he went to jail, like twice. But I'm surprised that he survived. It's something unique. Okay, my friends, it's been 2 hours since the beginning of this stream. I must say good night. But before I say that, I would like to say thank you, as always, for supporting Ukraine. Thank you for staying positive and friendly and decent. And also, I would like to say, you know, please remember the words of Vlad Vexler. Please think about your own sanity and your own health, your own psychological health. This is something that we should always value and preserve. And the best thing that can help you with it is staying positive and be dedicated. Be dedicated to something. And if you're watching this channel, then most probably you are dedicated to supporting Ukraine. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Please leave your commentaries under this video. I will, of course, do my best to answer all of them, even after the stream. So please don't hesitate. And as always, be safe. I love you. You are the best. See you later.